Arizona, you're on the line. Your comment or question, please.
Hi, I live down the street from John McCain, and I will tell you this. I think the Republicans threw the election because they knew what a mess we were in. But the second part of my call, I'd like to suggest this. Not suggest. We wouldn't be in this mess if we weren't funding wars. And the war in Iraq was for Israel. We go back to a clean break, a new strategy for securing the realm that was written by Douglas Feith, Richard Pearl, the Wormsers. So basically, the Iraq War, which we're spending a tremendous amount of money on, was for Israel, and now we might go into Iran for Israel. Iran is not a threat to the United States. Iraq was not a threat to the United States. They lied to us, and now the U.S. has basically bankrupted itself to fight wars for Israel. And then you have Rahm Emanuel, and I'm so shocked at how fast his whole thing is being covered up. Fox News is reporting that he's not being...
Caller, can I ask you one question? Going forward, in looking at the GOP and the Republicans, what do you think can be done? I mean, there certainly came out of a bad election season, 4 years of the Bush administration. What should the Republicans and the GOP do going forward to sort of repair not only their party, but their reputation?
The Republicans played chess, the Democrats played checkers. But Karl Rove knew exactly what he was doing. He put McCain in, he put Palin in. He knew Palin would attract some of the nutcase, lunatic fringe, but he knew that he was going to lose the election. They knew that all this was going to be blamed on the Democrats. Not that I like the Democrats any better than I like the Republicans. They've accelerated or started most of the wars in the last century. But the bottom line is this. We have Israel controlling U.S. foreign policy. And to the extent that we have bankrupted ourselves, our soldiers are basically a mercenary army for Israel. And Rahm Emanuel fought, well, he didn't fight, supposedly fixed the brakes, during the first Persian Gulf War in 1991 for the Israeli Defense Forces.
Okay. Thank you tonight, caller from Arizona. Let's ask that question once again, which is really at the center of our discussion, or at least we're trying to make it at the center of our discussion tonight. Going forward, we've got this lame duck president, and as you said, it's really too long, this transition. What is it, 27, 37 days, I don't know, whatever, transition period that goes on much too long with a president that really has one hand tied behind his or maybe one day her back, and another incoming president that people are looking to. Can this president do anything to help get the GOP, his party, on the track to go forward and sort of repair their reputation?
No. We didn't see Mr. Nixon address any future Republican conventions after he left Washington. We saw Herbert Hoover very, very briefly and never in prime time. It's going to be a very long time. The first thing the Republican Party needs to do is get Bush out of the way. Then I think you will see a challenge among the three factions. There'll be some divisions within the party. The business faction is going to say that the social conservatives, as the caller kind of indicated, the Palin wing of the party, the populist wing of the party, scared people, cost the election. The social conservatives will say that it was the bankers, and it was the very, very people who populate both administrations, and that they're going to stay true to their cause, which is anti-gay marriage and anti-abortion and pro-gun and things of that kind. And then you have other factions in the Republican Party that will yet to be heard from. I think it's a healthy debate. Parties do this every time they lose an election. When the Democrats lost to Ronald Reagan, it took a great deal of debating on both sides between the moderates and the liberals until Bill Clinton decided that he was going to be a family values, middle-class American kind of candidate, that he was going to reform welfare, he was going to be for the death penalty, he was going to preserve a woman's right to choose but get all these other issues off the table, and there was a leader. And this leader emerged out of a very, very divisive primary field, as you recall, with lots of shocks, including Jennifer Flowers, what have you. That for the first time in modern memory, the Republican Party will not have a Prince of Wales waiting in the wings. We won't be sitting around saying, whose turn is it, as they did with Bob Dole and George Bush the Elder and maybe George Bush the Younger. So now it'll be a free-for-all. And I think that you will see this for the next 18, 20 months until it sorts out.
Yeah, just today, former Defense Secretary Secretary of State Colin Powell came out and said that the Republicans should stop shouting and yelling around the world, and suggested, too, that they ought to stop listening to conservative talk host Rush Limbaugh. It sounds as if he was advocating a change in style, not necessarily a change in ideology. Jeffrey?
Well, I think that there's two things that the Republicans are banking on, and I think an aspect of what the caller from Arizona said is true, that the financial collapse, the physical, economic, and financial crisis that the Obama administration is inheriting is certainly, in my mind, the greatest test that a president will face coming into office since Franklin Roosevelt, and we may find subsequently that it was an even more formidable challenge. There are people, strategists within the Republican Party, I can name Newt Gingrich for one, who's going around basically paving the way for a Republican Party comeback in anticipation that the Democrats will fail to achieve what Roosevelt achieved in turning around the crisis and building a popular base of support. So Gingrich is making a power play, whether it's as a future Republican presidential candidate or whatever. He's basically asserting the authority that he waged in 1994 when the Clinton victory was greatly undermined by the conservative revolution.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and check out Tom's Representative Press channel. It's a channel you'll want to subscribe to as well. See the link in the video description.